started digging internally, looking inside who I was, doing that.
Welcome to the Go With Your Gut podcast, a podcast to help you manage your mindset. Because if you don't manage your mind, it'll control you. With speaker, writer, and creator, Lauren Dreyer.
So who do I... Welcome, everybody, to the Go With Your Gut podcast. I am your host, Lauren Dreyer, and today we have special guest, Dr. Pat. And I will go ahead and, Dr. Pat, I'll have you introduce yourself. Welcome.
Hello, it's so great to be here, and I'm really glad to share this time and space with you. I know that when paths cross, there's something that's meant to be. I always
Yeah.
try to do that. If I meet somebody catches my eye, I always make a habit of trying to have just a short conversation with them. So we're going to have a great time today. And a little bit about my background is I've always been a healer. When I was a kid, I used to play doctor. And I was never the nurse, I was never the patient, and I didn't die, and never did any of my patients. And today, what I've been blessed with is I've been blessed with the gift of being able to read in between the lines many times, and then bring forth or bring up what's really going on for somebody so that they can get a better sense of where to start their health journey or where to make that pivot at, because I love to solve challenges and come up with solutions that are safer, quicker, and simpler so
Yeah,
that you can keep moving forward. I mean, that's what we need to do because things happen in life and we need to be able to be aware of them, and be able
absolutely.
to sort them out quickly. So I'm really glad to be here. I've been doing this for over 38 years and probably more than that. I won't tell you how old I really am. Um, but I love helping people and I love to see them thrive. And this is a really great way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction, which I'm actually really excited about because um, everybody knows this podcast is all about mindset and
Mhm.
um, well, honestly, we talk about just about everything to do with it. You are in functional medicine and life strategies, and so something I've always noticed, and I'm curious as to your experience with this, is when I have um, something going on in my life, whether it's just me stressed out about it, or um, maybe I'm having a hard time figuring a life circumstance out, and there's always those physical things that tend to manifest in your body. And I find that I have lots of maybe stomach issues or shortness of breath, all of that kind of stuff when I'm just kind of all in my head or anything like that. And I think it's crazy how for me it's all been very interconnected. Can you talk on that a little bit?
I sure can, in a different ways too,
Yeah,
because in Chinese medicine, they would say that you're overthinking.
sure.
And so if you're overthinking, then you're stressing your spleen. And if
Okay.
you're stressing your spleen, the purpose of your spleen is like when you eat and food goes into your gut,
Yeah.
then what happens is it's the essence of that food and the good nutritious part of it goes to your spleen and it gets sent up to your lungs so it can oxidize and it can make blood.
Okay.
And the spleen's integral in your ability to digest your food. So if you're overthinking, it makes the spleen run slow.
Oh,
And a lot of times, if someone sticks their tongue out, just without protruding it like hard, but they
sure.
just stick their tongue out, you'll see scalloping effect on the side of the tongue, and
Huh.
the tongue being a little bit puffy. That's the Chinese diagnosis for that. That's one of the things that they use for that piece of the puzzle. The
Okay.
other thing is that when you overthink, because it's an emotional experience, that gut brain connection is huge. So your brain's over time, and it's just like, and it's sending messages to your gut, and your gut is got where you have most of your immune system anyway.
Yeah.
And we all know that when we've been nervous,
Yeah.
or we've been anxious, or we've been had some depression going on, we
Yeah.
don't digest our food well.
No.
you know? So a way to address that, so that one of the reasons why that happens with you is because then it becomes sluggish. So it pairs in and parallels to what the Chinese say and have been saying
Wow.
since the 6th century BC. And so it's been a really, I see the tie in for that quite a lot. One of the things that you can do to resolve that, and just you really just have to get in command of your three brains. The first brain is the lizard brain, the second brain is the mammalian brain, and the third brain is your conscious brain.
Yep.
We're right now talking on our conscious brain. Before this podcast, before our recording happened, my lizard brain's going, "Are you sure you're prepared? Maybe you're not, and maybe you shouldn't
Yep.
do it, and maybe no one's going to listen to you, But I usually, at this point in time in my life, just take the lizard brain and put him to sleep for a nap
Yep.
when I'm going to go on air. He doesn't have any business anywhere in my ecosystem, and and I use my experience, my good experiences that I've been on in podcasts with people to focus on that positivity of that, and that carries me through, and I feel relaxed, and then I'm given the words that I need the moment that I need them.
Yeah.
So when we start thinking about that, and then our conscious brain also is the one that you do affirmations with. So like, I am healthy, I am vital, I am active, I'm a successful human being. And the mammalian brain is the one that stores all your emotions, whether they're good or
Okay.
bad. So the idea is to take, when you're like that, is to say, use those affirmations to redirect that energy that your mammalian brain is saying, because it talks to both your conscious brain
Mhm.
and your lizard brain, which is your primitive brain. And you
Yep.
want it to talk more to your conscious brain, and your conscious brain to be giving that, because when you can, manage, and you can be in charge of how the words are coming out of your mouth, you can manage, and you can take the lizard brain, like I just explained, and put him in its right place.
Yeah.
Now, he's important to come up, like if someone's pulling out in front of your car,
Sure.
right? And he's important if you're, it's like the saber-toothed tiger, and, for the other things, for feeding, like to know when you're hungry. But he doesn't have any business directing your personal life and your fortitude and how you foster that in your life.
Absolutely.
So I thought that might be an interesting take on, what your question was, and like,
Yeah.
and what to do with it too.
Well, and I love that you took it there because I find a lot that it kind of like you were just talking of, before you hop on and record a podcast, thinking, you know, will people listen? Will this be good? Am I going to say the right thing? And it's very much of like for me that anxiety of like, I'm not going to say the right thing. I'm going to be in my head. And I have a lot of anxiety. I tend to do that for a lot of things. And I think it's super interesting how well, first, it takes a lot of work and practice to be able to take that lizard brain and put it on that shelf because
A lot of sweating
yeah,
in front of a lot of
because
people.
it that tends to, take over a little bit, right? And then we start second guessing everything instead of just recognizing that that's what it is. And I I think I've talked to a lot of people anyway, including myself, that it happens in, all sorts of situations.
Yeah.
And some of the times when it has gotten the better of me, it makes it so that I'm so in my head that then I, jump on a recording or I'm talking to somebody or maybe I'm on the phone, whatever the case may be. And I'm so in my head and I'm so worked up and anxious that I can't even think of what I want to say, even though I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I tend to it totally throws me off, and then that goes into a whole nother thing.
Well, the thing to do is to practice is saying your affirmations in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And saying before you go to bed, because that way the lizard brain doesn't, he's still kind of going like, I think I need coffee, or when you're going to sleep, it's like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't listen to you right now.
Yeah.
And so if you when you have those conversations and you say those things like, I am healthy, I'm successful.
Yeah.
I used to say when I was in acupuncture school, I went to acupuncture school, not when I was young. I went to acupuncture school when I was 52 years old.
Nice.
And so when I went there, when I went to go take tests, I didn't realize I was really talking to myself, you know, so strongly. But I
Yeah.
would say to myself in the way driving is like, I have the right to pass this test with flying colors. I
Yeah.
would say it out loud in my car. I was 10 minutes away from school. I will pass this test with flying colors. There is no question that they can ask me that I will not know the answer to. I do the same thing when I go give talk on the stage. Because I'm going out there and you don't know if people are going to love you or they're
Yeah.
going to hate you
Yeah.
or, it's just like in the naysayers, you just want those people just like, you should have stayed home in the first place.
Yep.
You're probably not going to have a good experience no matter what you do and no
Yeah.
matter where you're at or who you're listening to.
Yeah.
So I like the part, it's just like I like to like assess where my audience is so I stay in control of me, and I have that base. That's why
Yeah.
that saying like I'm going to do great today. There's nothing that can happen today that will disturb my peace of mind.
Yeah.
My peace of mind means more to me than anything. It meant so much to me. At one point in time, I sold my business.
Oh,
And so that was a huge thing. It wasn't probably the right thing to do, you know, and I should have probably not done that. But at that moment, it was the right thing to do. But long term, it probably wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, there's a couple of glitches that happen that that during that time span. This is years ago,
yeah.
um, but I think that when we get caught in that piece is to recognize it and actually use verbiage in your head that no matter who you're at, no one's going to know it. And
Yeah.
to just freeze the thought and you push it away. I
Yep.
mean, I always push things to the left side of me,
Okay.
and that's because I have a lazy eye on that side, I think. So I just push and I can't see it.
Okay.
And I focus on, going forward. I keep on saying, keep going forward, keep going forward. Can I do right now that benefits me going forward? Is staying in my muck worth in it for anybody? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so it's just like when it happens, just kind of go, you just to go like cancel, stop. I used to actually say stop when I was a kid. I would see something in my head when I was walking like on a cliff and I went, oh my God, I could fall down this cliff.
Yeah.
And in my head, I could see myself falling down on a cliff,
Yep.
off. And I just went like, I don't want to do that, and I just
Yeah.
went, stop, that's not happening, and I said it to myself so many times. I kind of had an angel or guardian or some spirit guide that, that just came out of my mouth. I had no idea what I was saying or why I was saying that at the time. But that practice helped me further in other areas of my life. Like when I've been
Absolutely.
lost and my Jeep and my telephone dies.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is not the neighborhood for me to be in right now. So it's
Yeah.
just like, think, instead of panicking, which doesn't serve anybody or your highest good,
Yep.
it's just like being more focused and getting concentric, is, serve me at least a lot more. And when I coach my clients, I talk about that a lot because a
Yeah.
lot of times we go back always in those patterns and some of those bad patterns that we learned growing up, and
Mhm.
because our role models only were doing what they thought that they were supposed to be doing
Yep.
at the time. They didn't know better. Sometimes they had issues themselves that they were still working out that they didn't work out by the time they became an adult. So a lot of people get to witness that type of thing. You go like, well, why is it that every time I start to get successful, I hit the ceiling or I
Yeah.
hit a wall or something happens and I don't get the new job or I don't get the promotion? And so
Yep.
and looking at that, when you understand that, you can go like, oh my God, well, maybe I need some help. Maybe somebody else has a better viewpoint, a bird's eye view, and can help me get past that stuff a lot faster, without tripping over myself again and again and again. Because doing that is insane. And,
Yep.
according to, Albert Einstein. Um, and getting that situated so you can go like, okay, so what is my next best step? And if you don't know what it is, ask. There's nothing wrong with asking, and there's no really dumb question. Anybody tells you it's a dumb question, boot them, freeze them, get them out of your life,
Yeah.
because it's just it doesn't serve anybody And I keep on saying that and going back to that. I had a client that was at the University of Glasgow, and he was told he was dumb by one of his, the people who did tested him
Okay.
for his ability to study in English. And when I read his report, because he sent it to me, and I said, "You're not dumb. Do you know how many people that are executives and entrepreneurs and doctors, when they've studied to being in school, they read paragraphs more than one time?"
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, and even on simple stuff, you're thinking she'll get distracted. You're thinking, okay, what did that guy just say?
Yep.
And that's why I always underline a book when I first, if I really like it. That's why I need to know whether or not it's a book I listen to or a book I pay attention to.
Yep.
And I underline things because then you're paying. I said to him, "You're not dumb." I was so irritated, and for him, and I said, "Let's get on track. Let's ignore people like that and just go do your life. How about that?"
Yeah.
And he did. Not only did he, when that's what we worked on for business with him. It's just like he also lost 10 pounds. And that wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything else that we did except change that mindset,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm kind of curious because what you were just talking about is huge. And the fact that we listen to a lot of different people for a lot of different things, whether or
Mhm.
not we should. And it seems like um, we take into account their um, opinions, advice, instruction, whatever it is, a lot of times much more than we should, much more than just, you know, it should be okay, thank you for your input. Let's decide how much input this should actually be in here. But we tend to do that and then hold on to it.
So if I can point something out, you were
Yeah.
just overthinking.
Yeah.
Because when you have that feeling,
Yeah.
it's just like what your response should be,
Yeah.
and your protective phrase should be to protect your spirit and your body and your mind and your soul, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually,
Hmm.
is you should just say, "Thanks for sharing it with me."
Yeah.
You know, and so when you say that, and while you're saying that, you're pushing that energy right back at them,
Absolutely.
you know, and that's all you say. Don't say another word. Just move on.
Yep.
It doesn't, and so, but when you said that, I'm going, oh, because I know you're trying to drive a point, but I was just like going to, when we think that out, sometimes we think like, well, should I pay attention to that? And what was that about? And when you don't know the answers, unless you continue to have a conversation,
Yeah.
and some people don't want you to be successful just in your personal life, forget about business, in your personal life. And those people usually are family members, or they're the media. I mean, it's just like, because we get influx, we have so much information
Yeah,
coming
we
at us
do.
all the time, and you're saying, well, like, and if you really want to think better, you've got to eat better. You have
Yeah.
to clean your diet up. You have to have a pristine, nice, clean diet in order to think better, feel better, and move better. Because you can't make good decisions and you can't create harmony in your life or balance. I would rather have more harmony and less balance because I don't care about the balance part. I care about, I care about the harmony part. I want
Yeah.
to be happy, and I want to be healthy and I want to feel terrific. And I can't do that if I let things like what I call dangling participles drag you down. And
Yeah.
the people who know how to press those buttons the most is your family, especially loved one. And you just got to learn how to say in a very nice way, "Oh, thanks for sharing it with me. I'll give it
Yeah.
consideration." And then you go and you walk away and tell yourself, like, "I don't think so." Freeze. Just like, and, and then say, "I'll get back to you on that." If you ever
Yeah.
want to diffuse a argument with somebody, just agree with them. It's like, you know what? You might be right. Let me give that thought and I'll get back to you. It's a lot easier than we make it out to be, and we all have days that we falter because sometimes I get caught up in that,
Oh, yeah.
myself, as there's no way that anybody's perfect. If you're walking, talking, have a human body and you have microorganisms and cells all around,
Yep.
you've got those other things to deal with too.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you can do every day though is you can eat well and you can make better choices in lifestyle
Yep.
and also in other aspects of your health. And sometimes
Yeah.
we just need to sort those out. When you get them sorted out, you go like, Oh, I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
It's like I want to drive to Washington, D.C. Right now, I am in Charlottesville, Virginia. There's like three different ways to go to Washington, D.C. from here. It's just like I want to go, which is the most efficient way at the time that I want to go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and where is it? Like when I go in DC, do I want to go through DC or I want to go around DC?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways to get to where we want to go. We just don't always explore them because we think they're a hassle, or we've been told that they're a hassle. You know, and I think that's
Yeah.
important to mention too.
And the funny part about that is, like, as you're describing that, I'm thinking of, it's summertime here in the US, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of construction. So I'm thinking we get really annoyed. I
Mhm.
do, when there's a lot of road construction, because it makes that journey that you might take on a daily basis, or maybe just quite a bit, it makes it a hassle, to where then you might say, I'm gonna try a different direction, or I'm gonna try a different route to go the
Mhm.
exact same place, because we just get on that autopilot, right? And say, why would I do it any other way? When in all reality, this other way, it might not feel as fast. It might obviously look different, have different things around it, but it's going to get you there. And maybe it'll be a really good, nice change of pace. But the same thing as you're talking about with just kind of everyday life is, there's more than one way to do all of those things. We just tend to get on autopilot, and then we're like, maybe this doesn't need to work anymore. Maybe you change it up and find a better way. Find just a different way, in fact.
We just had a little bit of a freeze
Yep,
there. We just had
yep.
a computer brain freeze. Um, so I think that when we have those situations come up, it's just like when you become a more conscious human being,
Yeah,
because we're at all different levels. There's not
yep,
one that's better than the other. It'd be helpful if a lot more people's consciousness was arisen and within themselves. Like
yeah,
10 years ago, people were just starting to talk about organic foods, and people going organic food, whatever they said. And there's no difference between them. Of course, a lot of people didn't read research, but there's reason, but there's reason for people like saying that because they can't get out of their own way.
yep,
And when we live in our box, when crap hits the fan or when something comes up, we will always go back to the lizard brain, and that box represents our lizard brain and everything that we know. And
yep,
we'll check there first. And then where we got to check is we're going like, well, maybe there's another solution, because I'm not any better. I still feel like crap, and it's 3 months later. I don't want to
yep,
wait for a year to feel like crap, because maybe what if it's something bigger?
yep,
Or it's just like, and this is the diagnosis I've been given. I always tell people, give me your diagnosis and I'll tell you a better way to go about it. To other things that you can do to support your life to be even better, so that you have better outcomes consistently.
yep,
And but that piece of the puzzle is like, you've got to stop, you got to be willing to go outside your box. And because those solutions that you're looking for might be someplace else, and you're wasting years. And that
yep,
mindset shift that you have is like going like, yes, but my mother did that. I mean,
yep,
everyone, I don't have to say that, I take that back. Not everybody has heard the story of the ham and the little girl and the mother cooking the ham at Easter dinner,
yep,
where and you might have, but a lot of people have not. When I mention that,
yeah.
there people go, "Where's that story from?" And so this little girl's asking her mother, "Why are you cutting off the end of the ham?"
Yep,
And so, in that story about being at the end of the ham, she's going, "Oh, your grandma. This is how your grandma did it. This is how my mom used to cook this all the time, and this is our family recipe." And so she just said, "But why do you cut the end of the ham off?" 'Cause she just it didn't compute for her. And she goes, "When your grandmother gets here, you can ask her." So later in the day, when the grandmother came there, she's going, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Why do you cut the end of the ham off when you're cooking it?" And her grandmother said, "Well, because it didn't fit in the pan." And so we do things and we don't even know why we're doing them.
yep,
And so some of those things like that, you have to think like, well, is there a better way? She couldn't afford at that time a bigger pan because the pan wouldn't have fit in her oven. They
Yep.
made ovens very small then in that. But I just thought it was a really interesting story,
Yes.
for that. And a lot of times, if anybody's ever interested, and this is a really great video on YouTube, is just look up, escalator stuck. And it's a black man and this young white girl, and the escalator's going up and it stops. And when it stops, they're going like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" And the girl's going, "Oh, I'm late. I've got a job interview. Did you have a telephone?" He's going, "No," and they don't move. They're just standing there and they're yelling for help. Eventually, this guy comes who said, "I'm here to help you." They're going, "Oh, good. He's gonna fix it. He's gonna fix it." And they're still standing there in the same spot. As time passes on.
Yeah.
The guy gets on the elevator or escalator and he goes and he starts to move it and clicks the button and it goes about 5 feet and then stops. And he goes, "Oh, I don't know what to tell you to do." The simple solution was right in front of them, but they didn't see it because they're so stuck with how they've always done things.
Yep.
Because they could have just continued walking,
I say
right?
use it as stairs instead of just standing there.
Yeah,
Yep.
just like on the escalator, just keep on moving. It's a great little
Yeah.
it's like the acoustics are really great for it when it slams shut and stops. But
Yeah.
I highly recommend your audience to just go take a look at it.
Yeah.
And so and what can we do to help you have that breakthrough that you need so
Yeah.
that you're not, so you're more self-reliant and you have better solutions coming to you that are quicker and a lot safer. Wouldn't that be a lot more cool? Just
Yeah.
like be able to like wrap it up and keep on moving and be happy about it, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it's kinda like both of those things, we just kinda get stuck in that spot, and we can't imagine how else to do it because why would we? And so we really do, we tend to just sit there frustrated, and I've found that a lot of people do that in a lot of different points of their life. You transition life, and it's like, "Oh, what the heck do I do? Things are changing, times are changing. I don't wanna change." When in all reality, you need to change. It's time for change. Freshen things up a little bit.
Well, the universe would like kick you in the butt whether you wanted to or not. And
Yeah,
when it kicks you in the butt for the final kick, and you have a crisis, then you're thinking like, "Oh, I wish I would have done something."
yeah,
And but when you had the opportunity to do something, you didn't jump into it because you didn't see the value or the reward that was ahead of you.
yep,
And so a lot of people, when you can show that value and that reward, then they can move freely. Because
yep,
who wants to be like have shackles on their ankles in their whole
yeah,
life?
miserable.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't realize it. I mean, look at the elephants that how they train them in India. A lot
Yep,
of places in zoos, they put a shackle on their leg and then with a short piece so that they can just go around the stake.
yep,
Eventually, they're able to take it off, and the elephant's not going to go anyplace because he still thinks the shackle's on. So
yeah,
if you if I have my arm on somebody for any length of time, eventually they're not going to feel it. I mean, it's just like if we have partners that we sleep with, it's just like you can touch them in the middle of the night, they ain't going to ignore you. It's just like
yep,
because they're so used to it, it's common, it's normal.
yeah,
And so we just have to make sure that we always refresh our immediate environment and say, always ask, is there a better way to do this? Maybe let me go research it out. And always make sure that you research 2 or 3 ways in order to create a solution. And then
absolutely.
say, 'cause, when I had my office and I was actively in practice as a doctor, I would tell people, my staff, if you got a problem, here's the thing: write the problem down. Here's the possible solutions, and then give
Yep,
me an opportunity to say yes,
yep,
right? And I said,
absolutely.
and that's how I, did problem solving in my office, and because they would come and say like, oh, well, something's like to me was silly, like, we have 2 subscriptions to People's Magazine. What should we do? I'm thinking that we should cancel it. Cancel one of them.
Yeah,
Why? Yes, let's move on. Let's move forward because that's rubbish stuff that you don't need to have in your life. It collects dust. It
yep,
collects garbage energy, and you need to have fresh energy that you're breathing fresh air into your life all the time.
absolutely.
And that's important.
Absolutely. Well, we are coming to the end of our time. So what couple of tips would you give people for getting out of their head when they're in it? Because I find that that tends to be kind of the kicker a lot of times of whether it's whatever kind of energy it is. It we tend to just be in our head about it, and when you can get out of your head about it, um, things change. Physical things change.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely.
Things around you change. So what kind of tips can you give us in order to do that?
Say affirmations. You know,
Okay.
from the moment that you get up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep and put your head on your pillow, everything's up to you. Your emotions, how you think, how you feel, what you do, how you choose to respond, because everything's a choice to how to respond.
Yep.
So if you get up and start your day with saying daily affirmations like, I can, or whatever it is. I mean, like if
Yeah.
you give me a topic, I can help you out with it. And I do that with my clients because we pick very specific things and we keep on building on them. Um,
Absolutely.
so I would say like the affirmation part is really important and get toxic people out of your life. That would be number two, and learn how to say, thanks for sharing that with me. With watch my hand. Thanks for sharing that with me. I'll get back to you on that and just think like never. Um,
Yeah.
and and so that those people, because you can't always control who you're around when you're with your
Yep.
family, but
Yep.
you can control how you respond to it.
Yep.
And it's just like, and before you go in, you can have that self talk going on, going like, there's nothing these people can say to disturb my peace of mind.
Yeah.
You don't offer up a single cell of your body for that experiment ever.
Absolutely.
And if you get caught in it, you just kind of go like, darn, you know what? Next time I'm going to do better. When's next
Yep.
time? Now. And, you can always go out and take 10 minutes outside and close your eyes and just say, I'm going to relax.
Yep.
And something really cool to do as a technique is to, when you sit there, if you're sitting down someplace, or like even if you're in your car, not driving, of course, and just like you close your eyes and you tell yourself to relax your eyelids. When you relax your eyelids, you can feel that, that decompression. It's
Yeah.
a really, really cool technique. It takes
Interesting.
practice. Everything takes practice. Everything takes
Right.
work. If it would be easy, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so, but having that piece of that puzzle, that's something else to do. It's just like go and like I call it hug a tree. You're in a bad attitude, go take a shower. That's
Yep.
number four. And number five, drink enough water.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated. Your brain needs hydration, and give yourself permission for things like give yourself permission. Okay, that person irritated me. I give myself 3 minutes, which is way too long, by the way, to be upset about that. And then I need to move on, and
I
it's
like
just
that.
like this. These are the things that I have to do. Number six would be make a list. How many things do I need to do today? Three things for my business to keep me on target and keep me moving forward. Three things for my family and three things for myself. Nine before nine.
Okay.
you know and when you do that, that's really a cool way to like like focus in, because it'll keep your focus there. And when
Yeah.
someone tries to derail you, like, don't read emails until the end of the day. And my method is I just click all of them. And I go down, and I don't have I just have a brand new computer. I don't have a touch screen anymore, so I keep on trying to hit the screen. um but I go down, and I check all of them off, and then I uncheck the ones that are important to me, and then I hit delete.
Okay.
And if the first three words in the subject matter don't interest me, it goes bye bye. Have I deleted things that I probably shouldn't have? Sure, but then if the person goes, "How come you haven't responded to me?" I just ask them to resend it to me again.
Yeah.
But my sanity is more important than anything.
Yeah.
And my client sanity I take very personal.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and I love helping people do well. I love, people ask me why I do what I do. I've been doing and being a physician and a coach for over 3.5 decades.
Yeah.
And I love what I'm doing. I love to see people thrive. I love to see people do good, and I love
Yeah.
to see people win,
Absolutely.
and have that success for them, whatever that win is for them.
Yeah.
And I think you have to start celebrating, if we're up to number seven or eight or wherever we're at on that list, and that you have to celebrate your wins.
Absolutely.
Even the littlest ones, and it's just like I finished a job in someone's office the other day, and I wanted to get the heck out of there, but I made myself feed myself first, and I went and had whatever it is I wanted on the menu, and I blessed it for my highest good.
There you go.
Um, and it was like, and then I got done, like I moved on to the rest, right?
Yep.
So I think that this has been such a great experience, and I'm really glad I got to share so many things,
Yeah,
that came off the top of my head. I have a plethora of stuff inside there, and thank you so much.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Pat. And as always, everybody, listen to that gut, whatever it is telling you to do, and then keep going.